In this video, we want to discuss the capabilities with Saint products, Saint Security Suite, Saint VRM, and others that provide support for configuration benchmarks. And this can come from CIS, NIST, and other sources. So the first step that we want to use is we go into the scanning capability and we'll see configuration scanning as an option. And unlike other vulnerability scanning, configuration scanning, compliance scanning, this information comes from these third-party sources. So the first step we want to do is ensure that we have the latest profiles from those different benchmark sources. So when we go to this list, we'll see in our action column, we have a number of these that have already been imported. And we'll see the ability to go ahead and run these different profiles if something has been imported. In our example, we have a 2016 system that we want to assess, and we don't see that there's any run action here. So first thing we want to do is import the latest benchmarks. In that case, they've been imported. And we'll go back and run these different profiles, find the one we want to run. And in this case, we have 6 different profiles that have been downloaded from CIS. And we can mouse over these to see the extended settings and extended names. In this case, you'll also see the number of checks in each one of these. In our case, we want to do a fairly thorough scan. And we'll see a member server that has 377 checks in that profile. Now you'll see 2 options here, edit the profile or run it. Editing will open our benchmark editor, and you'll be able to look at all the configuration settings for that specific profile. And in some cases, there's an edit option to be able to change a specific setting and create your own custom profile from that base profile. In this case, we don't want to do the edit. We'll just run that profile as defined through CIS. And our traditional job creation wizard will launch, and we can give this job a name. XCCDF is just a acronym for the XML-based configuration schema that was created for these benchmarks. So in this case, we'll just leave the job name the same, give it a number if we want. And the description by default will show the full profile name, and you can change that if you like. And all we have to do now is go define the targets that we want to scan. So in this case, we have multiple scanning engines out there, but the one from our management console is the one we want to use in this case. And we have a system out there that we do want to run based on this IP address. It's a 2016 host. And we do recommend all configuration profiles be run with an authenticated scan. Some of these configuration settings get to be fairly low level. It can only be found with administrative or some kind of root permission. So we do recommend running these with authentication. By default, as with other vulnerability scans, all the settings are set based on default settings for the type of scan you're trying to run, the host processing capability, and those type of things. But there are specific configuration settings. If you want to use them, you can change, such as if you're importing a setting that might have been already customized, you might want to skip the validation process that we do by default. The type of output format. Also, if you were used to the SCAP program under NIST, there might be certain type of things you want to use for cover pages, logos, and those type of things for the footer, for the output format. In this case, we'll leave everything by default. And just with any other scan, we'll set the scan time we want to run, whether we want to run it immediately or schedule it for later or do a recurring scan. And that will complete the process for importing a benchmark and running the scan job from that latest imported profile that we select. Now, when you're running scans in the future, when you have these profiles already downloaded, you don't have to do that step over again. When you create your job, as you would do with anything else, you put your job name and description in. And in this case, you would just select the category configurations, and you'll notice a selector comes down for the type of configuration you wanted to scan. And this would be based on that profile category or the platform that you're trying to run. So in this case, we had downloaded previously a number of platform benchmarks, and we want to run, in this case, a Linux scan. And we'll see now the list of profiles that were already downloaded for that Linux device. In this case, it's a Linux server that we want to run. So the only difference between the initial step and what you would do once you've downloaded the profiles is you no longer have to go back to the benchmark page and download the profiles. You would just run your scan as normally when you set up the job, select the configuration and a specific profile from that workflow. And again, running your scan workflow, selecting the type of scanning engine that locates your devices, put your hosts in, and do your authentication and set your schedules. So we hope this video was useful to you in terms of using the scan workflows, as well as how to use the benchmarks and where to locate the areas to download the profiles. For more information, please reach out to our support team or our support content or our website for more information. Thank you.